My fellow Rotarians, as you note, the title of this remarks of mine says Rotary Foundation after COVID-19. Nothing is written. To answer that question, I've got to be either a fortune teller or a soothsayer, and I'm neither. But I can tell you that few, if any, could have predicted at the birth of this year as to how 2020 would run out. The COVID-19 pandemic has shaken the landscape of the world and presented communities with a challenge for which there is arguably no existing playbook. Today's public health architecture was built for outbreaks and epidemics. In outbreaks and epidemics, the spread of disease is geographically limited, so the unaffected countries can, in theory at least, help the affected ones. In a pandemic, nearly everyone is hit at once, which means we really have no one to turn to who does not need help himself. But the good news is that the first vaccines out in the world look very, very promising. And hopefully, 2021 will see the sunset of this pandemic. But you must know that throughout history, plagues and diseases have ravaged humanity, changing the course of history and sometimes even signaling the end of entire civilizations. But if you look closely at the changes brought about by these plagues, they are not always for the worst. Historians may point out that the Periclean Athens was so severely weakened by a plague that it lost to Sparta in the Peloponnesian War in 430 BC. But it was that defeat that enabled the Athenian move to a radical democracy in which the world saw power evolve to the vote of the ordinary citizen for the first time. Historians may point out that the 14th century pandemic killed at least a third of Europe's population, but it also contributed to the end of feudalism. In fact, the tactics prevalent in today's efforts to stifle the novel coronavirus are anything but new. Protective masks, quarantines, isolation, and social distancing emerged in response to the Black Death pandemic in the 14th century. Likewise, the roots for contact tracing goes to the Spanish flu in 1919, which killed an estimated 50 million people. It was used for tracking the spread of syphilis among sex workers and their patrons. But the world always recovered quickly. And even in 1919, as the rest of the planet was floundering, a need for a service-oriented entity was necessitated, and Rotary was the answer to that call, spreading rapidly across the world. The first club in Asia, the Shanghai Club, was chartered in 1919, followed by Manila and Calcutta, and then Tokyo in 1920. Africa established its first club in Johannesburg, South Africa in 1921. Rotary actually grew by 26%. So today, in these depressed times, for those of us who are believers of the Supreme Being, you hear His voice from above, and you know that He can turn a mess into a message, a test into a testimony, a trial into a triumph, and a victim into a victory. For those who do not believe in a Supreme Being, history has a way of rhyming in retrospect. There might be a hidden virtue in all of this. We just can't see it at this time. However, history is a chronology of the past, but never a foreteller of the future. Equally, it's not all bad news for this year, for we had our moments to celebrate in Africa, when the continent was declared wild polio free. We applauded the health workers, mainly women, who have traveled by car, by rail, by boat, by foot, in fact by any means, to reach children from Abuja to Maiduguri, from Ethiopia to Cote d'Ivoire, and from Democratic Republic of Congo to Ghana with a polio vaccine. We applaud them for building a vast surveillance and laboratory network, now already being used to counter COVID-19. We applaud them for the energy, enthusiasm, and excitement they showed. How far they have come since that first fateful day in 1996 when Louis G.I. and then RI President and Raja Sabu, then TRF trustee, were in Johannesburg pinning the End Polio Now pin on Nelson Mandela's lapel to launch the Kick Polio Out of Africa campaign. But of course, we still have Afghanistan and we still have Pakistan to finish. And do understand that children in over 40 countries have to be immunized in routine fashion. Plus, we need to continue unabated our surveillance activities in over 70 countries to be sure the virus is still not lurking around in some sewer. Thus, there is no respite to our fundraising, for we need to make our goal of $50 million per year that will be matched 2-to-1 by the Gates Foundation up to 2023. Recently, I watched CNN Anderson interview Mr. Bill Gates. And in the course of the interview, he asked him, "So, Mr. Gates, you have brought polio almost to a finish." And Gates replied, and I heard it myself, he replied, no. The people who really brought it to a finish were this group of Rotarians. Credit must go to them. So Rotary does get credit. Meanwhile, our immediate reactions to the pandemic was excellent. You know that we gave out nearly $30 million quickly, and we gave it out widely, and we gave it out impactfully to enable thousands of clubs around the world to reach out to people in need. The grants we authorized only in the month of July and August amounted to $48 million. We funded 715 grants this year in these 2 months. Compare that with 271 last year at the same time. We were able to negotiate with USAID and formulate a partnership where they gave $5 million to provide assistance to Italian communities impacted by COVID-19. But what next? The challenges before us as we face a post-COVID world is to expand and institutionalize the learnings that emerged this past year. And so you will be justified in asking, how is the leadership gearing our foundation for this post-COVID world? And I can assure you that we are very focused to better adjust ourselves to today's dramatically changed environment. We are working and succeeding in reducing our recurring fixed administrative costs and at the same time get sharper and leaner while protecting and safeguarding our brand. We are working to realign our services and our image to the changing public sentiment. A case in point was making environment our seventh area of focus because the younger generation places greater emphasis on purpose, passion, and meaning. We are working to explore alternative ways of strengthening our World Fund. We are working to actively look for external partners, as we did with USAID. We are launching our program of scale, where we put in up to $2 million and expect other partners who rely on Rotarians on the ground to equally invest substantially in funds and resources. We have made the strategic decision that we will play a significant role in the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, especially in areas which might perpetuate insufficiency inefficiency, and ignorance. We must look around and understand that since the COVID-19 pandemic took hold in March 2020, many donors and other foundation teams have been working around the clock, drawing upon their missions and values to guide them through this uncertainty. They go on the basis that with this renewed sense of purpose comes an opportunity to reshape priorities and practice for the next era of giving. We must take heart from the reaction of the charitable public to the pandemic. What's striking was not only the scale of capital being committed by major philanthropists, at least $10.3 billion globally in May 2020, but also how it is being given at record speed, with fewer conditions and in greater collaboration with others. So this is the world of goodness out there. And Rotary, my friends, is a microcosm of that world. The same good people are also amongst us. Therefore, meeting our funding goals is our first challenge. In normal circumstances, we have a very achievable goal for this year of $410 million. $50 million for polio, of course, matched by another 100 from Gates. $135 million for the annual fund. $85 million for the endowment fund. $40 million for other outright gifts, all adding up to a grand total of $410 million. Our midterm goal of $2.025 billion in net assets and expectancies by 2025 remains intact. And when we reach $1 billion in net assets, the funds available on an annual basis for spending would be between $40 to $50 million, even if no Rotarians gives 1 cent that year. So far, thankfully, we are on track, keeping up with projections. The pandemic has sent the world economy into one of the worst recessions in recent memory. But if we are to learn from the 1919 Spanish flu, it created an environment that facilitated a need for an organization like Rotary. Similarly, the misery caused by COVID-19 will leave governments constrained from spending money on social services in the way they will need to, because of high levels of unemployment, homelessness, and poverty. This will create a dire need for Rotary service. In fact, my view is Rotary will thrive because in dozens of countries, we become the answer to the prayers of community members. The prayer of the desperate parents whose child is seriously autistic or otherwise disabled, until Rotary builds an institution which gives that precious child a fresh lease at life. And of the ailing villagers, many of whose kidneys are affected because of groundwater contaminated by overuse of fertilizers, and now have purified potable water through a reverse osmosis plant. And the girls who would have had to leave school at 12 or 13 because their school had no toilets, no private place to wash, and then find one day that the school has a new toilet block built by Rotary. And then to the hundreds who were dying of cervical cancer, or the thousands who were being afflicted with malaria, till Rotary came along to arrest this condition. For all those people, countless hundreds, even thousands, they may never know us. Or for that matter, they may never know of Rotary. But they do know that their prayers have been answered and their lives have found renewed hope. We must understand that none of us here are more than a speck in the vastness of space. Our time on this earth is limited, and we can feel so insignificant. But as any physicist will tell you, even a single speck has the power to change the world if it moves in the right way, in the right place, and at the right time. Rotarians can make things happen because of their boundless imagination, fierce ambition, and uncompromising dedication, even in this dark and gloomy year. But then remember, the night is darkest just before dawn breaks. So let's have hope that this too will pass. As I alluded earlier, nature is immensely complex. It is impossible to tell whether anything that happens is good or bad, because you never know what the consequences that follow will be. All we can know is that with every action and reaction, there is an opportunity, a chance to live our values, express our desires, and take action to improve the quality of our lives. Nothing is written. Nothing is written. We are the authors. It is up to us to take all that is great about Rotary and the Rotary Foundation and use it to build a better world. For this is our great moment of opportunity. CNN's Fareed Zakaria, in his recent book, describes a scene from the film Lawrence of Arabia, which makes this point very vividly. In the movie, in a role played by Peter O'Toole, Lawrence has convinced a group of Arab tribes to mount a surprise attack on the Ottoman Empire, from whom they seek independence. Lawrence leads a band of Bedouin warriors across the desert, approaching the Ottoman port of Aqaba from the rear. They cross the desert in the blistering heat, braving swirling sandstorms. At one point, they discovered that one of the Arab soldiers, Gassim, has fallen off his camel. Lawrence instantly decides that he must turn around and get the lost man. Sharif Ali, the chief Arab leader, played in the movie by Omar Sharif, objects. One of his aides tells Lawrence, Gassim's time has come. It is written. And Lawrence snaps back. Nothing is written. Then he turns around, ventures back, searches amidst the sands and the dunes, and finds Gassim, staggering about half dead. Lawrence brings back Gassim to camp to a hero's welcome. When Sharif Ali offers him water, Lawrence looks at him before quenching his thirst and calmly repeats, nothing is written. In Lawrence of Arabia, the lesson about fate versus human agency gets more complicated. The night before the attack on Aqaba, the Arab tribes start quarreling bitterly over the murder committed by one tribesman against a member of another tribe. As an outsider, Lawrence offers to execute the murderer so that justice could be done by an impartial hand, only to realize that the murderer is Gassim, the very man whose life he had saved in the desert. Yet he walks up and calmly pumps 6 bullets into Gassim. The lesson perhaps is that Gassim was destined to die. Lawrence had been able to save him in the desert and in doing so gave him a reprieve. But by his actions, Gassim threw away the chance for a different future. So too in our times, we face circumstances which are similar. This ugly pandemic has created the possibility for change and reform. It has opened up a path to a new world. It's ours to take that opportunity or squander it. Nothing is written. Let me leave you on that note, asking you to be safe and continue to have hope for yourself and for Rotary, remembering nothing is written. We write it. Thank you.